Welcome to this episode of Enhancing Fertility with TCM. My name is Ai Wei, a TCM physician with Thomson Chinese Medicine. TCM has been used to treat fertility health for more than 2,000 years. In fact, there is a renowned physician, Sun Si Miao, who lived around AD 600, who made this statement: treating women's diseases is more complex than men's problems because women have to go through childbirth, pregnancy, and monthly menstrual cycles. Well, theoretically, yes, as TCM is a general practice. So in Singapore, you will find that there are no specializations for TCM physicians. However, there are physicians who are known to treat certain conditions simply because of their patient's profile. For example, there are clinics that see 90% of their patients of same or similar conditions. That's why it is not uncommon in Singapore to hear about popular physicians who treat cancer, skin disorders, fertility, and so on. Well, there are some patients who think that only Chinese medicine is beneficial in treating fertility issues. And there are those who think that they cannot continue with acupuncture once they are pregnant. Yeah, so TCM benefits for women includes to regulate the menstrual cycle, ensure ovulation takes place, improve blood flow to reproductive organs to improve egg quality as well as the endometrium lining. And as for male, TCM treatments can enhance the sperm quality, such as motility and volume, as well as to improve their libido and stamina. So TCM treatments can also enhance women's increase their sexual desire because there are certain times due to hormonal changes, or due to the busyness of life, and for women especially. So there are TCM treatments that can help to actually relax and help women to increase their sexual drive. Yeah, so some common conditions that patients seek TCM for include irregular menstrual cycles, not ovulating, PCOS, endometriosis, recurring miscarriages, and premature ovarian failure or a very low AMH. And for the male conditions, it includes low sperm count, low motility, and reduced sexual desire. Okay, so for whether it's male or female fertility, we can use both acupuncture and Chinese medicine to treat. So it all depends on the physician's diagnosis of the issue. Because let's say for two patients suffering from PCOS, they could receive very different medicine or very different acupoints because they have very different diagnosis, means that their underlying imbalance could be very different. Yeah. So once the physician has identified what the underlying imbalance is, then they can go on to select the medicine as well as the different acupoints for the patients. And on top of Chinese medicine and acupuncture, physician will also advise on dietary changes, improvements, lifestyle changes such as sleeping early, more exercise, more work-life balance. And some good to do practices at home could be moxibustion, which is a form of heat therapy, especially for women on their lower abdomen and on their lower back to warm the uterus, and as well as hot water foot soak that they could do on a daily or twice a week basis. So hot water foot soak, patients can use just purely hot water, or they can choose to buy herbal foot bath to add into the hot water as well. So the herbal foot bath often have the effect of improving circulation and to warm the body. But in this case, for fertility, even if patients do not use the herbal foot bath, as long as the water is hot enough, as long as patients don't burn themselves, but water is hot enough, it serves its function. So for herbal foot bath, for those who are using it for fertility purpose, generally they will go for ginger foot bath or mugwort foot bath, which is 艾叶. Yeah. So these two are the more commonly used ones for fertility purpose. And so when couples or women are trying to conceive, they can do this herbal foot bath on a daily basis as long as they're not pregnant. Once patients are pregnant, they can continue with the hot water foot soak, but just using lukewarm water and not hot like before. Because once you're pregnant, you want to just maintain the pregnancy and not to overstimulate the circulation. And once you're pregnant, you can just use water, and it's not necessary to add the herbal foot bath. So couples who seek TCM help for fertility generally will take Chinese medicine. And for Chinese medicine, as long as they don't experience side effects such as bloating or heatiness, generally the medicine is suitable for them. As for whether they're benefiting, then it depends on the symptoms that patients might be experiencing. For example, for the ladies, they might be having irregular menstrual cycle or not ovulating at a regular time every month. So with the help of Chinese medicine, if they notice that the cycles are becoming more regular, or they are able to track their ovulation on a monthly basis, then that will be an improvement for them. And as for the males, generally, if they have issues with sexual performance or desire, these are some of the more visible ways that they can tell that the medicine is working for them. And for couples who do not have any symptoms, no physical visible symptoms, they might feel that, oh, they're going through the motion every month, every cycle, because nothing seems to be happening. And this is when couples need to be patient, because for TCM, it will take time to build up your internal reserve. Yeah, it's all about balancing the body. So even though there are no physical symptoms to observe, as long as you're not experiencing any negative side effects, you should be able to feel an increased sense of well-being. And it takes at least 3 to 6 months generally, before we make a decision to decide whether, the treatments are effective or not. Well, some patients associate acupuncture to be painful, but contrary to that, many patients actually find acupuncture to be a very relaxing process. So there are different types of sensations when it comes to acupuncture. So one is at the point of the needle insertion, that feels like an ant bite or insect bite. And then as the needle goes deeper, generally patients might feel tingling sensation or a slight numbing sensation that is quite tolerable for most of us. Yeah. And sometimes there could be pain, and this is when the needle might puncture a small capillary or a small blood vessel. So this one is very safe, so don't have to worry too much. But most times, patients should feel a fullness, sore feeling, which is actually a very good feeling, after the whole session is over, that makes you feel calmer, more relaxed, and more energized at the same time. So I would say most patients will not find acupuncture painful, but in fact, a very relaxing and calming one. Clinically, we see a lot of patients with dietary restrictions, whether they're vegetarians or, they have certain aversions to animal, especially animal-based herbs. Yeah, so all this we can take into consideration and tailor a prescription that is safe and suitable for patients. Some of the herbs that are common for fertility include those that nourish the blood. Example, 当归、熟地、生地、丹参、阿胶、白芍. And of course, those that strengthen the kidney, for example, 菟丝子、 杜仲、桑寄生, as well as those that enhance your digestive function, such as 白术、茯苓、山药、党参、砂仁. All these are commonly used. So in TCM, it is still common to see the use of insects and some exotic animal parts. But in a lot of the clinics, what we generally use are more plant-based and definitely not from the animals that are, in danger of being extinct. Yeah. So for most prescriptions for fertility purpose, they involve plant-based herbs. But there are cases where we use animal-based herbs. Yeah, but for patients who have restrictions, yeah, definitely these herbs can be replaced with plant-based. One example of probably animal-based herbs will be cordyceps, which is an insect, that is a parasite on some vegetation, on some plants. And, after the insect dies, and then it becomes part of the plant. So we know that there are some patients who are averse to taking this. And because for cordyceps, it is known to nourish the kidney energy. Yeah, so for patients who cannot take this, there are definitely other herbs that we can substitute for. So for couples who are interested to seek TCM treatment for fertility, they should come in together as a couple on the first visit so that the physician can assess them together. If they have fertility reports from their doctors, their gynae or fertility specialists, they should bring it along for the physician to refer to as well. But we also have patients who are, new to fertility, as in they have not been assessed by a fertility doctor yet. Yeah, and then in this case, they can just come in and then share with the physician how their fertility journey has been so far, how long it has been, and what are some of the issues that they are facing. And after the physician hears them out, the physician can decide, whether it is important for the couple to go for a fertility assessment first before they continue with TCM treatment, or is it okay for the couple to just start with TCM treatment first for a time period of 3 to 6 months before they decide again what to do next. So there are many reasons why IVF doesn't work. Yeah, so it's very hard to answer whether the TCM has helped or not just by looking at whether the wife gets pregnant, with the IVF. Yeah, but some ways that couples can look at whether TCM has been helping them is to look at the number of eggs retrieved, to compare the cycles with TCM and the cycle without TCM. Has there been an increase in the number of eggs, even in the number of eggs that are mature, fertilized, and eventually frozen? If there's an increase in these numbers, I would think that TCM has contributed. And of course, when it comes to transfer, whether the lining has been growing nicely, because there are women, who have difficulty with lining issues, as in their lining tends to be very thin, even with very much hormonal medication, the lining still remains very thin. Yeah, so with TCM, this can be helped as well. And then for the men, definitely we can tell, whether with TCM, the sperm quality has improved, because the sperm quality definitely contributes to a healthy embryo. It is generally recommended for women to drink more warm, or if not room temperature water, as much as they could. And if once women are into the childbearing age, and especially if they experience menstrual cramps, irregular menses, the very more they should stop or abstain from cold water and switch to warm or room temperature. Yeah, because it usually will take a period of time, at least 3 to 6 months, to condition the body to prepare the womb for pregnancy. I would say, as soon as you're ready for family planning, ready to conceive, then you should gradually try to switch over from cold to warm. So for our younger women, yeah, bubble tea is something that they cannot live without. So my recommendation is not to totally do away with that. You can indulge yourself once in a while, yeah, but probably you can't have it on a weekly basis. But you can give yourself a treat maybe once a month. And you have to avoid like during the menstrual period or 1 week before your menstrual period. Actually, whether for male or female, as long as we restrict ourselves to 1 cup of caffeinated beverage a day, it shouldn't be a problem for our fertility health. It's only when we over consume, then regardless whether it's for the male or female, that is not recommended. Yeah. So generally, it's as long as it's in moderation, keep to your 1 cup a day, we are very safe. So for TCM and PCOS, again, it depends very much on the symptoms that is presented by the patient as well as the patient's underlying constitution. So for patients who are overweight, the diagnosis might be excessive dampness heat, and then we will have to treat accordingly. For patients with acne and excessive hair growth issue, this could be attributed to a liver fire syndrome. Again, then we will have to use herbs that can address these problems. And for those who are overweight, it could be a matter of dampness heat. So again, then we will use herbs to counter this dampness heat. So we can use acupuncture or Chinese medicine to treat patients who are not ovulating. Again, it depends on why patient is not ovulating. So it could be due to excessive dampness heat. It could be due to stagnated liver energy. It could be due to a deficiency of kidney yin or kidney yang or even kidney energy. Yeah. So we will have to use the herbs to address these different syndromes and acupuncture points as well. So for example, if the problem is in the liver meridian, then we will select points on the liver meridians to address these issues. So in closing, my recommendation to couples out there is to start early. Yeah, from a TCM perspective, the most ideal age for a woman to conceive is between 21 to 28 years old. So if you are married after 28, try not to hold off having a child for more than a year. Be prepared that conception might take longer. So do not underestimate. So be prepared that it might take you up to a year to conceive, especially you are above 30 years old. And lastly is to have very strong communication with your spouse to support each other. Do not point fingers at each other because a lot of times women get the blame. Yeah, but in reality, we know that male fertility contribute to about 30%, or very strictly male fertility. Female fertility, infertility, another 30%, and then unexplained fertility, another 30%. So if you balance it out, it could be a 50-50 between male and female. So let's not point fingers, yeah, but let's work together to understand, how conception takes place and how we can encourage each other, during this process. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Enhancing Fertility with TCM. My name is Ai Wei, and I wish all of you a smooth fertility journey ahead.